survive. It's trying to help you be healthy. It's trying to send you the signals that you need to hear. So when we get really good at tuning that out or ignoring it or suppressing it, what happens is our nervous system has to dial up the volume because it's trying to be heard. It's trying to have the messages be received. So it dials up the volume and until it's kind of screaming at us. And that is often when we feel we have a neurocrash, when we feel overwhelmed, when we start crying, when we snap at someone and kind of bite their head off over nothing, right? It's because our nervous system is screaming at us in the background because we're ignoring the messages that if we just received earlier, our nervous system wouldn't escalate and scream at us in that way. And so then we wouldn't be on edge in the same way, right? I'm not saying it erases all your problems in your life, but it makes your system much more able to cope with it and not always on edge with that. Right? So this is really, really, really important, you guys, which is, remember, we don't want to put our nervous system in a situation where it has to scream in order to be heard. Right? You with me on that? Where it has to scream in order to be heard. And we do this with our emotions too. In fact, there's another piece of this that's called emotion rejection. So we have interoception suppression and emotion rejection. This is I would argue this is one of the biggest issues that people face, which is emotion rejection. What is that? That's where we take unpleasant emotions, fear, anger, frustration, sadness, emotions we say we don't want to feel or think that we don't want to feel. And we reject those emotions because we don't want to feel them. We don't want to feel them either for a lot of different reasons. Depends how you were raised. Maybe we think that's an inappropriate emotion. I shouldn't feel that. I shouldn't be vulnerable to that emotion. I shouldn't have it. Or maybe we say, oh no, it's okay that I have the emotion, but I can't feel it. I'm too busy. I'm trying to run my business. I got a lot going on. If I start getting into those emotions, I'm going to kind of get lost in that and it's going to take up a lot of my time and mental energy. So I don't want to do that. Right? So there's different reasons why we might do it, but the important thing is that we are doing it. And what we're doing is we are rejecting emotions that are either unpleasant or that we think that we don't want to feel. And so we suppress those emotions. We reject those emotions. And again, what ends up happening is when you reject an emotion, it doesn't disappear into outer space, right? When you reject it, it's still there. Why is it still there? Because here's a cool thing most people don't realize about emotions. Emotions are actually messages from the nervous system. They're messages from the nervous system. And if it's an unhappy emotion, fear, anger, sadness, etc., if it's an unhappy emotion, the message from the nervous system is, hey, something is out of whack and there's something you need to do, have, or notice and focus on and pay attention to in order to get back to equilibrium and homeostasis. Something's out of whack. There's something you need to have, do, or pay attention to in order to get back into equilibrium, right? So again, when we reject that, that doesn't make that go away, right? Your nervous system's still trying to tell you that. So it causes dysregulation and distress, even if the emotion is not on the surface, right? And that's why, I know this might seem counterintuitive, but that's why actually fully feeling it. This is another thing that we help people to do in the Mastering Your Own Neuro-Crashes course. But fully feeling the emotion, actually sitting with it. Like even closing your eyes, sitting with it, feeling it, noticing where it is in your body, fully feeling it. This is the counterintuitive part. Not only is that healthier, but often what happens is when we fully feel it, the nervous system now detects that we are receiving that message, and oftentimes it will move through us. Again, I know you probably don't believe that if you haven't experienced it before, because you would think, why would it move through you rather than just getting worse? I mean, the problems haven't gone away, so why would the emotion go away, right? The issues haven't gone away. Why would the emotion go away just from feeling it? That's ridiculous. Except it's not ridiculous because it's actually how your nervous system works, right? It's really fascinating. I've obviously done it many, many, many times myself. Kate and I have worked with many people doing it. So I've experienced it, but it is really fascinating the way. And I don't want to claim this happens 100%. It does not happen 100% because sometimes there's a really deeper issue behind the emotion. So just feeling it doesn't immediately make it go away. But it's a win either way. So first of all, some of the time, a bunch of the time, if you really feel it. Your nervous system will detect that it's been received. You'll feel it all through your body. It will get more intense over the next 5 minutes. But then oftentimes you'll feel it pass through you. It is a quite incredible feeling. And then all of a sudden you'll realize, oh, I felt really angry a second ago, a minute ago, 10 minutes ago, and I don't feel that way now. Or I felt really scared and stressed, and I don't feel that way right now. So sometimes just the fully feeling it will enable it to move through you. Now, to be fair, there's also sometimes, a bunch of times, when that won't happen. But because there's like a real deeper issue that you haven't looked at, right? Fair enough. But even if that's true, even if you feel it and it doesn't like completely disappear, it's still going, it's still gonna surprise you that the intensity of it and that the ickiness of it will dissipate substantially, even if you haven't dealt with the underlying issue. That sort of ickiness and sort of tenseness and tension about it will often dissipate because, again, you're feeling something that needs to be felt. You're receiving a message from your nervous system that needs to be received, right? So that's emotion rejection, and more to talk about there. But and that's probably I'll be honest, that's of all the 6 things, that's probably the hardest one for most people to address because most people are scared of their emotions, understandably, because that's in the culture to be scared of your emotions. It's in a lot of families and the way that families work. So I understand it, but the good news is your emotions can't hurt you. They can't hurt you. I know we don't think that, but it's really amazing. Once you see it demonstrated, you'll realize they can't hurt you. They might feel unpleasant, but they can't hurt you. Okay, so that's emotion rejection. Now, number 3, regulation deprivation. Holy cow. Regulation deprivation is a huge one specifically for entrepreneurs because we get really busy and involved and we're working on a lot of stuff and our mind is really busy, and we don't, very, very few people that I work with who own a business, very few people take the time to do something that Kate and I call regulate regularly. These are simple things. This particular one is not complicated, but it is important to do regularly, and that's to do certain, what Kate and I call micro regulations. These are different things. Some of it has to do with certain breathing exercises we can do. There's actually, but there's other ones too. There's actually 13 that we introduce to people in the Mastering Your Own Neuro-Crash course. But just know, being able to do that, for instance, I'll just tell you a quick one on breathing. If you can just take a few minutes a day, several times a day, 4 or 5 times a day, and just spend 5 minutes lengthening your breathing, it'll make a big difference. Not deep breathing, lengthening your breathing, meaning lengthening how long you're spending breathing in, lengthening how long you're spending breathing out. And what's more, not lengthening them equally. You lengthen breathing in a bit, and then you really focus on lengthening how long you're spending breathing out. Every time you breathe in, your heart rate increases slightly. Every time you breathe out, it decreases slightly. Right? In fact, one of the reasons why a lot of people sing to themselves in the shower or in the car, even if they don't realize this is why they're doing it, is that when you sing to yourself, you're breathing in, and then you're doing a long breath out while you sing the verse of the song. So it's actually a form of self-regulation that oftentimes people don't even realize they're doing. Anyway, I'm not saying you have to sing. I'm just saying that breathing is important. Breathe in a little longer and then breathe out a lot longer, and do that for 4 or 5 minutes several times a day. That can be really helpful. Like I said, there's 13 of these, but that's one to start with. So that is, and that's part of regulation deprivation that can be fixed by regulating regularly, right? Okay, so that's 3. Listen, yes, does it take a little bit of time throughout the day? It does. But again, your ROI goes up. Your return on investment for the time that you are putting in goes up because you're more regulated during the times when you're working. And not only working, but also working if you have clients. When you're more regulated working with clients, holy cow, they will pick up on that. Again, even if they don't know they're picking up on it, they're going to pick up on that because they're going to feel safer around you. They're going to feel more comfortable around you. They're going to want to work with you more because you're a person that instead of them feeling stressed around, they feel safe around, they feel like they can trust, etc. We send all sorts of signals of safety or lack of safety to the people around us that we're not even aware of. And the best way there's not the only way, but the best way to send more signals of safety to your clients and your family members and the people around you is to actually be regulated. When you're regulated, you're going to do all sorts of things you're not even aware of that are going to send out signals of safety. And when you're dysregulated, you're going to do a bunch of things that you're not aware of that send out signals of lack of safety to other people. And they're going to pick up on that. And then they're going to also be less regulated.